Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the book release and discussion on Nobody Will Shoot You If You Make Them Laugh. The guests for today are Mr. Simon Murray, Mr. Jeffrey DeWitt, Dr. Naveen Singh. The moderator of the session is Ms. Jaya Bhattacharjee Rose, and we have with us the Director of National Book Trust India, Shri Yuvraj Malik. I request everyone to please come on the stage.
How are we sitting? I should be on your right side.
You're on the right side. I'll go round.
Before we start with the session, I request Shri Yuvraj Malik, the Director of National Book Trust India, to felicitate our chief guest, Mr. Simon Murray. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause. I now request Shri Yuvraj Malik, the Director of National Book Trust India, to felicitate our guest of honor, Mr. Jeffrey DeWitt. A huge round of applause, everybody. I now request the Director of National Book Trust India to felicitate our special guest, Dr. Naveen Singh. I request the Director of National Book Trust India to felicitate the moderator of the session, Ms. Jaya Bhattacharjee Rose. Please welcome them with a huge round of applause. We have with us today the chief guest, Simon Murray, a renowned businessman and adventurer. He was the independent non-executive chairman of Glencore and is the founder and executive chairman of GEMS, an investment company in Asia. Having lived in Asia for over 40 years, he started his career in Hong Kong with Jardine Matheson in 1966 and became a key figure in the Far East business scene. In 1998, he co-founded GEMS with Deutsche Bank, managing a 300 million euro plus investment fund. He served on the board of various companies, including luxury firm Richemont, and was honored as an officer of the Order of Merit of France. He also played a pivotal role in Hutchison Group's mobile telecom expansion, securing rights for the European network Orange. Beyond business, Murray is a noted adventurer. In 2004, he became the oldest man to walk unsupported to the South Pole at 64, earning a Guinness World Record. At 60, he completed the 242-kilometer marathon des Sables across the Moroccan desert. His best-selling book, Legionnaire, is considered a modern classic by novelist Frederick Forrest. A huge round of applause, everybody. We have with us the guest of honor for today, Mr. Jeffrey DeWitt, former NASA CFO, ex-Arizona State Treasurer, Chairman of the Arizona Republican Party 2023-24. Mr. DeWitt received his degree in business administration and Finance from the University of Southern California and began his career in 1992 at Smith Barney Shearson. In 1999, Mr. DeWitt started a company called EcoTrade, serving as its CEO for over 14 years. In 2017, President Trump nominated him to be the Chief Financial Officer of NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration of United States. His nomination as Chief Financial Officer of NASA was confirmed by the US Senate in March 2018. A huge round of applause for him. We have with us the special guest for today, Dr. Naveen Singh, a former world-level athlete and serial entrepreneur with 15 years of IT innovation. Dr. Naveen Singh is passionate about health tech and telecoms. An avid sportsman since college, he excelled in Olympic-style wrestling, uniquely representing both India and Switzerland in international competitions. He studied at prestigious institutions like Hansraj College, Delhi University, and a university in Switzerland, earning a rehabilitation system. As an entrepreneur, he champions blockchain technology and co-founded Inery, where he serves as CEO. Please welcome him with a huge round of applause. Moderating this session will be an international publishing consultant, Ms. Jaya Bhattacharjee Rose. Can we please have a huge round of applause? Before we move forward, let us have a look at Simon Murray's journey compiled by the National Book Trust, India.
Born on March 25, 1940, in Leicester, England, Simon Murray's life is nothing short of extraordinary. From the aristocratic halls of England to the rugged terrains of Algeria, his journey is a tale of courage, ambition, and relentless determination. At the age of 19, Simon made an unconventional choice. He joined the French Foreign Legion. Serving for 5 years in the elite 2nd Foreign Parachute Regiment, he fought in the Algerian War, an experience he later immortalized in his memorial Legionnaire, which inspired the movie Deserter. But his story didn't stop on the battlefield. As a visionary leader, Simon co-founded the global brand Orange and held key roles at Hutchinson Whampoa, Glencore, Deutsche Bank, and more, shaping industries across the world. Even at 63, Simon's adventurous spirit knew no boundary. He became the oldest man to reach the South Pole unsupported, climbed Mount Everest, and completed the 7 summits. Simon's remarkable achievements have earned him prestigious honors: the Commander of the Order of the British Empire, the Chevalier de la Légion d'Honneur, and the Order of Merit of the French Republic. He also holds an honorary law degree from the University of Bath. From soldier to entrepreneur, adventurer to author, Simon Murray is a testament to what can achieve with courage, resilience, and vision. His life inspires us all to break boundaries and redefine what's possible. Simon Murray, a life that dares to dream and inspires us to achieve. Born on March 25, 19...
We now move forward to the book launch of Nobody Will Shoot You If You Make Them Laugh, authored by Simon Murray. A huge round of applause, everybody. I now hand over the session to Ms. Jaya Bhattacharjee Rose.
think they've done that.
Yeah.
And so I asked him to put it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The light is quite bright, but that's okay.
Yeah, so that's why I asked him for tissue. So that you can always have a fresh one.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my great honor and pleasure to welcome Simon to this conversation. It's very hard to follow up with an interesting conversation after that magnificent short clip, a biopic rather, of Simon's amazing achievements. It's just a snapshot of all that he has done. But here we are today to discuss his memoir, it would be that, called Nobody Will Shoot You If You Can Make Them Laugh. But it is a memoir which he's tried to pack in, his interesting life. So maybe let's start at the very beginning, Simon, as to how and why did you get into writing a memoir? Because your life is so fascinating. What you decide to put in?
Well, I'd written, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
I'd written a book about my diary when I was in the French Foreign Legion. So it's a diary of my 5 years in Algeria. And when it was finished, a lot of people read it and said, well, what happened next? So I came out of the Legion, I was 25 years old. I am now, I know it's unbelievable, but I am now 85 years old, okay? And so they said, why don't you put it all together? And so I sat down and I wrote the story of my life, and that's it.
That's not it, Simon.
You mean you
Come
want me to tell you the story of my life?
No, I don't want to tell you the story of your life. But since we are at a book fair, and since memoirs are the kind of writing style which are very, very popular these days, for a gentleman like yourself, a man of many accomplishments, let's start. I mean, what you choose to write in your story? Because it's so much.
Okay, I did realize that my life has been different. I'm not going to be too long on this because Winston Churchill once said, when you're speaking in public, it should be like a girl's skirt, long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to create interest. So that's what we are going to do today, to try to create interest. I was born just before the Second World War, and my parents were divorced when I was 2 months old. So I was initially, my mother, who was left by my father when she was divorced with nothing, although he was quite well off. He went and joined the army. My mother had nothing. And we were living in London. She put me, he's waving his arms. Why is he waving his arms?
Who is?
That guy.
Nobody, you don't worry about that. You just continue. I'll let you know when.
So my mother went to work in the fire brigade during the war, and I was sent with my brother. She put us in an orphanage where she had a friend. So I started life in an orphanage. Why did I write this book? I have read lots and lots of books about explorers. I read when I was very young. We didn't have television, obviously, and I wanted a life which was my own, and I could go out there and do what I liked. There was a woman called Muriel Strode in 1921. She said, do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. And I quite liked that. There was also a guy called Jean-Jacques Rousseau who was writing about the time of the Revolution, French Revolution. He said, man is born free, but everywhere he finds himself enchained. That is complete rubbish. We are not born free. We are born in a prison. The prison is the circumstances in which we find ourselves when we are born. If your father is a multi-billionaire and you're born in Boston and he runs a big fat company, you're going into Princeton. After you've left university, you're going into the company, the family company. You're going to move up, become the president of the family. Eventually, you're going to retire, play golf, and die. If you are born in a Caracas slum, your life is going downhill from day one. If you're born in a village in Africa where 75% of the village have got AIDS, your life starts with a descent. So I was born in pretty difficult circumstances in the first 6 months of my life. After coming out of the orphanage, we were living in London. London was bombed by Hitler from June to September. 78 days of bombing, including 78 days of night bombing. We lost 43,000 people dead in 3 months and 1 million homes destroyed. Do I remember that? I have glimpses of it, flash memories, because I was there from 1 till 2, and you remember things. So always a desire for me to get out off the path I was on and find my own space in which I would find freedom and also the knowledge of oneself. And that is what happened to me. So after school, I was bored to death at school. Bored.
Yes, no, yes.
Bored to death at school, and always wanting to go to Africa, wanting to go exploring, wanting to climb mountains, wanted to do these things that I read about. Burton and Speke, trying to find the source of the Nile. That's what I want to do. Somebody climbed Everest in 1952. Hillary, I need to climb Everest. All these things. Scott went to the South Pole. My God, I'm going to go to the South, etc., etc. That was me as a young man. One day, my mother remarried a Dutchman, and I was on holiday in Holland, and I'm walking along through the port of Rotterdam, and I saw a queue of people. I said to somebody, what are they queuing up for? They're queuing up to get jobs on ships.
Yes.
I joined the queue. When I got to the front, all these people there, eventually my turn. The guy said, where's your seaman's book? I don't have a seaman's book. Get out of here. So he threw me out, and they all laughed. The next day, I was walking along in Rotterdam, and this guy who was signing people up, he saw me, and he stopped me, and he said, are you the boy that wants to go to sea? I said, yeah. He said, do you care where you go? No. What about South America? Wow. I would think that was 1958. About 75% of Britons did not have passports. Although the British Empire still existed in such a way, 400 million members of the British Empire out of a total population of 2 billion. So 25% of the world, including India and all these they had all been part of the British Empire. So I wanted, and they didn't have passports. And here is this guy. He said, look, we've got a ship leaving tomorrow, and the galley boy is sick. Do you want to be the galley boy on the ship? Well, what does the galley boy do? The galley boy peels the spuds and scrubs the deck and is the worst, the lowest member of the ship's staff, and you do anything you're damn well told. I'm in. I'll join. Do you want to join the union? Why do I want to join the union? It's $10. Do you want to join the union or not? No, I don't. Why? Is it necessary? Why do you want to join the union? Because if you fall overboard and you are not in the union, they will not rescue you. If you are, they will rescue. I'm joining the union. So I joined the union. Off we went. So that was the beginnings of me. And I came back and I got a job in an engineering firm with relatives of my father, who had this big firm in Manchester called Mather and Platt. They made sprinklers and all that sort of stuff. And I was working in their iron foundry. And one day I had had enough. I'm going to join the British Army. And I went for an interview. I only wanted to join the Gurkhas. The Gurkhas regiment or nothing. I'd read all about the Gurkhas. And I did a medical. They said I was green and red colorblind. 1 in 5 men, sorry about this, you guys, are colorblind, and you don't even know it, okay? Women are not colorblind. He's wearing a red hat, okay? So that's the kind of thing some of you don't understand. Anyway, they turned me down, and the colonel of the regiment of the guards, he said, Simon, we're taking you anyway. I said, you're not. I'm going to join the Foreign Legion. What? Don't be mad. You'll be dead in a week. Anyway, I went to France, and I joined the Foreign Legion. And I spent 5 years in Algeria. And I came back, and I was at a cocktail party, which given by my cousin to lots and lots of people, about 200 people there. I walked into the room. I didn't know anybody. I was wearing a Legion, a Foreign Legion D-mob suit, which is about 5 tubes too big for me, sort of clothes that Naveen wears. And my cousin came forward with a brown paper parcel and said, Simon, this is yours. I've been saving for 5 years. It's your laundry. So, well, Jesus, everybody started clapping. I opened the box and pulled out my underpants and my socks and various things. And that was where I was at 25 with nothing, 300 pounds in my pocket that I'd saved in the Legion. No job, no nothing.
But Simon, if I may interrupt,
Yes.
if I may interrupt, that is the starting point of a magnificent career.
Yes.
And I mean, unfortunately, I haven't read The Legionnaire, but all that you've told me about it and the diary of your account, would you say that those 5 years that you spent in Algeria in some way formed you and helped you spur on your next part of your career?
The Foreign Legion I was in the 2nd Paratroop Regiment, is supposed to be the toughest army in the world. They claim, I don't know whether it is or not. But it teaches you discipline and self-discipline. And when you've done the Legion, Foreign Legion, you're dying to get out. And anything is better, okay? So it gives you a huge impetus to move on, right? And it is a very tough existence. Also, those years between 19 and 24, they are very formative years. We say we go to good schools to educate ourselves, educare, from the Latin to education. Educare means to nurture, to grow up, but you don't. You do your exams, you pass your exams, and then what? So you need to learn fortitude. You need to learn how to survive. That's much better experience than being at a boring boarding school. So it gave me impetus, and I started with nothing. When you have nothing, you have impetus to move forward or give up and go home. For me, I'm moving forward. I also had relations who were extremely wealthy. They looked down on me. I was the guy who'd been to the Foreign Legion, he's a waste of time. So I had stimulus to improve myself and move up the ladder a little bit.
That's exactly it. As you rightly pointed out, 19 to 24 is always a formative time for any individual's life, but given the circumstances that you were in, and subsequently all that you have achieved, Simon, you're constantly doing something new, isn't it? Isn't it what you strive for?
Well,
and you never seem to rest on your laurels. You seem to keep pushing the boundary.
It's the oldest proverb saying in the world. In business, it is not what you know, it's who you know, okay? I was standing at this cocktail party, and there was a guy called Charles Letts standing next to me. He was the chairman of Jardine Matheson. He said, I've listened to you, so you were in the Foreign Legion. We at Jardines, we only take 5 people a year, and we only recruit from Oxford and Cambridge, no other universities. But I've been thinking maybe we should broaden this out a little bit. So if you ever get to Singapore, come and see me. And he gave me his card. I got a job through a newspaper selling carbon paper in Sweden, and also chemicals for delicing sheep. I got fired fairly early on because I put too much of the chemical in the delicing sheep, and 60 sheep ran through this sump of water with my delicing liquid in it, and 40 of them died.
Wow.
So I had to get out of there.
Well, but the thing is that one learns from mistakes and improves and improves and improves.
Yes.
And it's not just in terms of having a professional career and being the successful businessman that you are,
Yep.
but it is also having a taste for the adventurous, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And I have been very lucky. There's a guy called Uri Geller who said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. So I've come to a lot of forks in the road. And always there's been somebody standing by, somebody I know who's given me a push, given me some sense of direction. So without a father, I met my father for the first time in my life when I was 27 in Sweden. And he died a week later. Not because of me, but that's how I didn't have that father. But I had lots of people who in a way sort of almost wanted to be my father. They were always helpful, pushing me forward. When I got to Singapore, can I tell this story?
Yes, of course. That
when
one
I
is
got to
interesting.
Singapore, I saved enough money to get to Singapore from selling carbon paper. I arrived, I had $200 in my pocket. The highest building in Singapore in those days, I'm talking about 1956. 56. The tallest building was 12 stories. Anyway, I was at the airport and I went to the desk where they do the hotels. I said, I need a really cheap hotel. And they said, what about the Ritz? The Ritz? I can't afford the Ritz. Something really cheap. They said, it's $10 a night. $10 a night to go to the Ritz. I'm in. And we drove down in this taxi, going to lower and lower and lower suburbs, and we came to the Ritz. 3-story building with red lights all over it. I went in, and there was a basement, and there were about 1,000, at least 500 American GIs on leave from the Vietnam War. And there were also maybe 600 lovely ladies in Chong Sam's. Well, so I went to the bar and said to the bar, I need a drink, a beer or something. And there was 2 Chong Sams standing next to me, sort of squeezing me in. And one of them said, you come here today? I said, yeah, I come here today. How long do you stay? I said, maybe a week. And she felt my bicep and said, oh, you really strong man. Most people stay 1 hour. So the next day I rang Charles Letts and I said, listen, I'm at the Ritz Hotel. He said, what are you doing at the Ritz? It's a whorehouse. I said, oh yeah, how do you know? And we got on very well after that. So I worked for Jardines for 14 years. I ran their engineering business. I was selling steel frame buildings to the Americans for their war in Vietnam. I was selling air conditioning, lifts, you name it. I had a hotel supplies business. I was selling everything from toothpicks to beds. The first biggest order for beds in Hong Kong, 2,000 beds to a new hotel which had 1,000 bedrooms and so on. I was selling helicopters, I was selling aircraft, and agents for all these things. And then after 14 years, I left and set up my own business.
Impressive. Because what it shows is not just the entrepreneurial spirit in a firm, but the core, at your core, that you're always excited by the adventures. Nothing is boring, nothing is dull. You take each day as it comes. And it's a blessing, isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, we are running out of time. So if there are any questions from the floor for Simon, I know many of you are not familiar with the book, but if there's anything you want to ask of him, please let me know. Does anyone want to ask a question? Yes, ma'am. We need a mic.
Hi, Simon.
Hi.
Actually, when I came here, I waited for you, seeing the fascinating title.
I'll do it.
Nobody will shoot you if you make them laugh. So the title fascinated me a lot. I think this is a combination of psychology, philosophy, and spirituality, your journey of it. Isn't it?
Yes.
She came join this conversation because she was charmed by the title. And what does it encapsulate? Does it encapsulate a combination of psychology, your experiences, and spirituality?
It's really, my publisher picked out the title because he said in my book I do get into trouble from time to time. And I get out of trouble quite often by making the guys laugh. I was once going from South Africa to Botswana. Have I told this story? No. No. So I had 3 people in the Jeep with me. Botswana and South Africa were at war. And after 40 minutes, 1 hour in the car, we came to a village in Botswana. And I had said to the guys, the road is 150 miles long. It's much quicker if we go through the forest. But the forest is dangerous. And they said, no, come on, let's go through the forest. I said, well, you know, there's a war on, and there are animals in the forest, and if we get caught, we run out of petrol, or we have an accident, we could be in trouble. Come on, Simon, let's go through the forest. So we went through the forest. 40 minutes later, we're in a little village with 40 mud huts. No concrete in the village. We get out of the car, immediately 4 people with Kalashnikov guns come charging up. I say, hey, listen, I got an English passport. English. Wow, Jesus. So they forced us to sit on a rock for 3 hours. Every time we move, even if we cough, that sort of stuff. 20 yards away in a tent is the chief of the village, and he's got our passports in front of him, and he's sitting like that in a tent. I get up, I'm going to talk to him, and I say to the 4 guys with the machine guns who got him on me, I say, I want to talk to the boss. So I walk across very slowly, their guns in my back, and I sit in front of the chief. I took out a little coin from my pocket, and I put it in front of him, and it disappeared. Huh! So he's amazed, okay? And everybody starts laughing at this trick. And then there's a woman on the floor mixing food for him. And she said, you, magician. And I said, yes. She said, pointed to the chief and said, he, my husband, can you make him disappear? So I said, yes, I can make him disappear, but very difficult to bring him back. And he said, no, man, no, I don't want to disappear. And I said, look, I won't make you, what about, take the passport, go. And we drove off, and they were all clapping and laughing. So that's where the title comes from. If you can make them laugh, they say, get out of here, and so on, okay? There are a lot of stories like that in here. There was an Englishman, are we okay? There was an Englishman the other day, true story, was in the Times, driving along. He's my age, he's about 85, and he bought himself a new sports car, and he was feeling good, driving along the road at 80 miles an hour. And suddenly he saw in his rear view mirror, he saw 2 cops coming along on their bicycles, absolutely flat out. And he thought, I can outrun this guy. So he picked up, and he was doing 120 miles an hour, and he realized he was being absolutely stupid. And he stopped. And the cop came up to him, one of the cops said, okay, you saw me coming and you speeded up. What the hell do you think you're doing? He said, I'm just so sorry, I just crazy, I got this new car. Okay, the cop said, it's Friday, 5:30, I am off at 6. I'm on a fishing trip. If I take you back to the cop shop, I'm going to be there filling in paper for 3 hours. If you can give me a story, an excuse I've never heard before, maybe we can forget this. What do you got? He said, about 3 years ago, one of you cops ran off with my wife, and I thought you were delivering her back to me. Get out of here. Let him off.
Simon, I think we
So
can carry
always make them laugh and you get out.
when you're in a tight spot.
In a tight spot, yes.
Yeah, in a tight spot. Simon, thank you very much for a lovely conversation. I really hope that this book will be, can be made available and others can see it. But Simon is here if you wish. He's here for another couple of minutes if you want to chat. But otherwise, please do look for this book and for Legionnaire, which I believe is available on Amazon and other places on Amazon, and has been in existence for more than 40 years, sold 1.4 million copies. So there is something to be said for it. Thank you very much, Simon, for a lovely conversation and sharing a bit of your life.
My pleasure.
I have a question for Simon. I have a question for
Sir, yeah.
Simon. You are full of life. Like you have lived many life in one life. Like
I'm a what?
I'm saying you are full of life and lived many lives in one life.
As in real life.
Yes.
So what is one regret that you have today at 85?
What is the one regret that you have at 85?
What is the one what?
Regret.
Wow. Getting a question like that. There are always in life things that you would like to have done and you have not done. When we get to the older age like I am, you regret certain things that you could have done. Whether it was to race a car in Formula One, climb a mountain, or marry somebody or you should have married, or whatever, there is always a regret. Most people at my age, every day, they are wondering, what the hell is going on? How did we get here? We left so many things undone. Okay? I don't know anything particular that I regret because my bucket list has been full and emptied already. Maybe I should have flown to the moon, but do I regret it? Not. People regret that what they are unhappy about life. They don't have enough money, they don't have this, they do. What they should remember, people who live on this earth, they get a free trip around the sun every day that they don't pay for. What's wrong with that?
Well said, Simon. Well said. We've done it. You've done it. So thank you very much. And we hope you will have something more to put into your bucket list and fulfill.
What?
You will have something more to put into your bucket list and fulfill.
Well, about 10 people I need to kill. In life, if you've got a purpose, if you are going somewhere in your life and you've got something to do, you will also make enemies. But I am flooded by good friends. But I do have 1 or 2 enemies we haven't finished yet.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon.
To sum up this session and convey the vote of thanks, I request Shri Yuvraj Malik, the Director of National Book Trust India, to come on the stage.
The magician, Mr. Simon. Am I right? Yes. The magician of word, the magician of tricks, and the magician of thought. And Mr. Jeff, who came all the way from US, being with us. Mr. Naveen, my colleague and friends. It's beautiful to listen to you, and I'm very grateful for your presence. You came, you released your book, which is full of life, which has got so many dimensions. We call it in life that if you read a book, you live that life again. So if those who wants to read it and want a copy of it can come onto the background of him. Mr. Simon is there to do book signing for aspiring. Some of the young cadets are here who are aspiring army officers here, so they can also meet. I'm very grateful to Jayaji, being at a short notice. She was kind enough to be on the dais with Simon. I'm thankful to each one of you, and thank you so much for sharing beautiful episodes of your adventurous life. Thank you so much.
A little unsteady, so be careful. Yes, I am.
जब सवाल गहरे हों और जवाब जीवन के सत्य, तब एक नाम उभरता है, आचार्य प्रशांत। आधुनिकता और आध्यात्म के बीच सेतु बनाने वाले आचार्य प्रशांत एक विलक्षण विचारक, दार्शनिक और प्रखर लेखक हैं, जिन्होंने लाखों लोगों को जीवन के गहन सत्य से जोड़ा है। आईआईटी दिल्ली और आईआईएम अहमदाबाद के स्नातक, पूर्व सिविल सेवा अधिकारी आचार्य प्रशांत ने कॉरपोरेट और प्रशासनिक जीवन छोड़कर आध्यात्मिक